I appreciate you coming to talk. Do you want to start by introducing yourself?
What up? I'm Kai.
Huh?
Kai.
Kai? Okay, awesome. My name's Brandon.
Nice
talking
to
to
meet
you.
you, Brandon.
Absolutely. So, you're sitting on the sidelines. So, I guess I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to start by defining veganism, and you tell me what you disagree with.
Okay.
Right? So, veganism is an ideology that rejects the commodification of animals.
Okay.
It means you don't want to use them, abuse them, or kill them for food, clothing, entertainment, or anything else.
Okay.
Right? So, what about that do you disagree with if you're not vegan?
It's unsustainable, dude.
Okay. So, if we're going to talk about an environmental argument, right? We could do that.
Oh no, I just mean like actually unsustainable.
Yeah, but that's an environmental argument,
No,
right?
I mean like I couldn't afford to do vegan 100% of the time.
Okay, so that's a practical argument. Okay, so if we're going to have the practical argument, I could do that. Now, I would urge you to at least have some sources or a website or something, but because I have sources, but we could have a practical argument. So, and then I want to go back to the moral, because practical, we could argue a lot, but when it comes to practicality, so when you say unsustainable, you mean financially for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any research that shows that vegan diets are more expensive?
Yeah, trying to buy them in Plymouth. Like buying fruit and vegetables.
So an anecdote.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So actually there's a recent study out of Oxford that showed that on average, vegan diets are 30% cheaper than omnivorous diets. And I'll tell you how that's possible. I mean, that's a better source than an anecdote, but I'll tell you how that's possible. Most of the cheapest foods in the grocery store, besides the most organic, fresh fruits and veggies, all the other foods, most of the cheapest foods in the grocery store are vegan. So if you look at potatoes, whole grains like pastas, rices, oats, you look at cereals, you look at frozen fruit, you look at frozen veggies, you look at black beans, chickpeas, all of those are significantly less expensive than animal products. So to say that just because you went to the store and tried to get these products, I would argue you either didn't, you were looking at the fake meat alternatives, which can get kind of pricey, or you were looking at the most expensive, pristine fruits and veggies, which most of us who eat animal products don't even do. Most of us are going to restaurants, going to McDonald's, stuff like that.
In Plymouth, you'll save more money buying a bag of sausages than you would buying the non-name brand generic plant sausages. Like, I like those over the super greasy sausages, but I literally
But
can't.
you don't need to, so you don't, there's nothing that shows you need to eat those plant sausages. You could just eat rice and beans instead, and it would be significantly cheaper.
That's not enough protein for my sauce. I'm a big guy, right?
Dude, okay. How much, do you track your protein right now?
Yes.
How much protein do you get?
I get about almost a full 30, 40 grams a day.
Do you know how much protein is in half a cup of beans?
It's like 13, right?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're getting 30, 40 grams of protein, in a bowl of rice, it's about 10.
Yeah.
In half a cup of beans, it's about 13, right? 10, between 10 and 15. That's 25. So in one meal, you've gotten the majority of your protein for a day. Dude, look, here's the thing. I have a background, I would not be out here if you want to argue morality, that's fine. But if you want to come bring practicality that requires research, that requires actual data to support, it's going to be a tough sell, because I got a background in nutrition. I've been doing this for almost 7 years. I track all my food. I know what nutrients are in what foods. It's not going to work, right? So, but I understand, like, I'm also here. I'm a little fired up. I apologize. I'm a little fired up. I'm going to be honest with you, because I've talked to a lot of young people out here who just want to justify eating dogs, and so I apologize. Right?
I've eaten dogs.
I'm here. Well, we could get into that too, but my primary goal here is to educate, right? So I want to tell you that, truthfully, to get 40 grams of protein, which is actually a little under than what you should be getting, funny enough. For an adult male, you should be getting around 50 to 60.
I'm a fat guy. A lot of it's not always protein.
That's fair. But
I'm 240, so.
But that's the other thing, right? The fact that you are saying that admits that you also don't always prioritize your health, right? I'm assuming.
I smoke.
Right, you smoke. So to also come into a vegan debate and say, well, what about our health, when you literally probably don't really care about it.
Health. It was just.
Well, I know, but saying protein and this and that implies that there's something unhealthy about a vegan diet.
I don't know. I just know I need enough protein to stay 240 pounds without feeling like shit.
Okay. So I want to educate, and I want to tell you right now, I get 100 grams of protein every day, and I don't even try. No protein supplements, just fruits, grains, cereals, soups, just normal food, right? So that's one thing. So apart from the sustainable argument, right, because I think we discredited that a little bit, what is the other justification you have for continuing to contribute to the suffering and death of billions of sentient animals?
You can't get away from it.
Okay, so would you say that...
Do you drive a car?
I don't. I actually sold my car, but my girlfriend has a car. Sure.
She has a car, so she's not a vegan.
She is a vegan.
Does she drive an electric car?
No, it's gas.
And she uses animal product.
Says who?
What is gasoline?
Wait, hold on. So gasoline is, when you say an animal product, there's no, so like...
You said no animals.
No. So it's about the rights violations of sentient animals. So like oil that's built up from years of fossils or whatever it is.
What would be in a sentient animal? What's the difference between a chicken now and dinosaurs pressed into gasoline that you use?
No, but there's no system of abuse and harm and death. So like, for example, if you found roadkill on the side of the road,
yeah,
I would be told you could eat it. That's fine. I don't recommend it, but you could do it.
You want it when it's still warm in the winter.
Sure. So that's not against veganism, right? The problem is using animals and abusing their rights. We're against rights violations.
So if I raised my own animals, you'd be cool with me using them?
No, because that's a rights violation.
How is that a rights violation?
Okay, so if you raise an animal to then end its life prematurely, that's a rights violation.
Like people.
What do you mean, like people?
We fucking violate people's rights all the time.
Exactly, and that's immoral.
Yeah.
So the same thing with animals.
So like, open up prisons, because prisons are slavery set up, right?
No, so animals are innocent. So like, when it comes to our system of prison, there's a lot of things I disagree with, I'm sure, but when it comes to prison systems, we have that because those people committed some kind of crime or violated some kind of right.
Well, until recently, Massachusetts has the...
So,
but
dude.
But still, whatever the Bill of Rights, I don't remember what it is, says that you can have slavery used in prisons.
Okay. So, what you're doing...
Once you commit a crime, say you do like petty theft or grand larceny, should you be forced to work as a slave?
Okay. What you're doing is you're highlighting other injustices in other areas of our life, and you know what you're doing. But instead of doing that, right, that's another, I'm not a vegan, I'm not a prison advocate, but I'd love to have a conversation about prison reform, about better things we could do for prisoners. I'd love to have that conversation. I'm not interested in that right now. What I'm interested in is, you're just saying that, well, there's injustices everywhere else, why give a shit about veganism? You could say that about anything. You could justify homicide that way. You could justify sexism, racism. You could justify a lot of things that way by saying, well, all of these bad things are happening, so what's the point? There is a point, right? And that's why we've chosen to specifically get away from the things that are most harmful. Prison reform is important, but what I would say is more critical is preventing human deaths, human oppression, which prison could be part of that, and the moral atrocity we commit to other sentient animals that are innocent, haven't committed crimes. We breed them just to abuse them over and over again. It's unjustified.
You keep saying sentient.
Yeah, I could define sentient.
Okay.
So sentience is the ability to feel pain, feel joy, experience life. So it's when you have your own individual experience and you could feel pain, feel joy. I will tell you right now, if you...
Justify that is hard. You can't quantify that other things feel pain or feel joy.
So the best scientists, the scientific consensus, is that, I'll talk just because it's on topic, cows, chickens, and pigs, fully sentient. So that means that, and just from an observational, right, forget about the same eyes, the same nerves, brain, almost all of the same organs that cause us, that show that we feel things. Just from an observation, if you step on a puppy's tail, it's gonna squirm in pain. If you pet a puppy, it's gonna feel joy. The same exact thing happens with cows, chickens, and pigs.
That doesn't mean you're sentient. People are barely sentient.
No, people are very sentient.
When you walk somewhere, do you actively control the movement of every foot, or do you just think to walk somewhere?
Okay, so that's because there are, what's it called? What's the word? Not unintentional, what's the word?
Automatic.
Passive, yeah. Just because we have functions in our body that are automatic, doesn't mean that if you punch me, I'm not gonna feel pain.
But where does the actual automatic thing end, where you're like, oh yeah, this person's sentient? Like
when you jab an electric poker into a cow and it moves and screams in pain.
But the response is automatic, right? Because the pain.
Same thing with us, but how we know they're sentient is because of the nerves, the organs. That's like
all things show.
Now plants have no.
Pain? They have the study recently with the
That wasn't
putting into plants.
okay. That wasn't pain. So the study was. I know the study. Again, you're not gonna. So the study was with tomatoes. I'll explain.
How is the reaction different from what happens when you step on
I
a
will
dog's tail?
perfectly explain. So the study was when tomatoes are pulled off the stem, it made a squealing noise.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that is, it's
Like
actually
a dog when you step on its tail.
no. So that's gas being released from the tomato being plucked. If you look at the inside of a tomato, there are no actual organs that represent nerves, the ability to touch, sense, anything, right? And if you're gonna argue that chopping a carrot is the same as kicking a dog in the face, I would really love to see you put those two against each other and actually really think that that's the same. I think you know better. I think you know that plants do not feel pain. There's no actual studies. There's no scientific consensus of any kind, and if you have it, please show me that plants feel pain or are sentient. Sorry.
I don't know about it.
Google, are plants sentient?
I think the argument is that just nothing's sentient.
What do you mean nothing is sentient? Humans are sentient. That's what we care about.
I barely think about what's about to come out of my mouth before it's said.
Okay, but
Like,
that's a
how
you.
far
But that's a you thing.
How
but that's,
far in advance do you plan your conversations?
Okay, you're confusing all cognitive ability. Sentience is not intelligence. You could be dumb as bricks. You could sit here and not think of a single thing. But if you can feel pain, you could feel joy, you can experience things, you're sentient.
Hold on a second.
No problem. You're not going to find a peer-reviewed article that shows plants are sentient.
That is not the right one at all.
What is
Pain treatments.
Yeah, I don't think so. But no, plants are not sentient. They don't feel anything. Again, if you're going to make an empirical claim, right? All these claims
They
you're
feel
making.
sensations.
Right, they respond to stimulus, which means plants are intelligent. They're
Like
not
stepping-
sentient. Like microorganisms respond to stimulus, but they don't actually feel and they aren't aware of their life.
But how do you know that?
Because we observe and we study and we have science. What do you mean?
Well, microorganisms are so small you wouldn't be able to determine whether.
What
or
are
not
you
they're
talking
sentient.
about? We observe microorganisms under microscopes all the time. And
But-
we can look at their complex organisms, which they aren't. There's no complex
So
organisms.
what's the difference between looking at them under the microscope? Like, what's the actual? Here we go. What's the actual difference between stepping on the dog's tail and how do you know that's pain compared to dumping a little?
You're
alcohol?
fucking trolling, aren't you? You're fucking trolling the shit out of me, huh?
No, I'm asking.
Dude, you're trolling me so bad. Okay, so if you rip open a dog and you rip open broccoli, you can see that dogs have lungs and hearts and nerves, all of the same organs that show that when I get pinched, I feel that.
So it's a requirement on organs.
Well, that's one of the indicators of sentience, yeah.
So we could do like bugs. You would eat bugs.
A lot of bugs are sentient. No, a lot of bugs are sentient.
But not all bugs have the same. Would you eat worms?
Whatever. I wouldn't eat any animals, but I would say it's
Worms
not
would
vegan.
be allowed under veganism because they don't have the organ.
No.
They don't have the
They would
compassion of
have to be conclusive data that they're not sentient. I don't know. I haven't done the research. I can't show you.
Oh, look, I'm sure
But-
people have researched worms.
No.
and
So
how
time
bugs
out.
work.
Even if I grant you worms aren't sentient, all right? Even if I grant you, what's your justification for eating cows, chickens, and pigs?
Because they taste good, or
So you like the taste?
yeah.
Okay. So if I like kicking puppies and my only justification was I like it, would you consider that moral?
Depending on where you live, yes.
No. Right here, against your morality.
Oh,
Would you consider would you consider that moral?
personally, I can't attest to it.
Okay. So if you saw somebody just kicking a puppy in the face, you would have no internal reaction going, wow, that's wrong.
No, not really.
Well, conversation over then, because I would say that anyone who's watching this video and most people would say that's fucking psychotic. So I think the conversation's over. If you have if your moral position is that kicking a puppy is fine and should be allowed, then I don't understand how we can even have a conversation. I would say you got to rethink your ethics.
So let me find a simple nervous system. Lobsters, snails, and worms do not have the ability to process emotional information and therefore do not experience suffering.
It doesn't mean they're not necessarily sentient. They can still feel pain, feel emotion, especially
It just
lobsters.
says they don't experience suffering, so they wouldn't feel paying under that?
Again, that's just a Google search. We'd have to have a peer-reviewed article. But okay, again, even if I grant you that crustaceans, like even if I grant that, what's your justification for the cows, chickens, and pigs? And because I like you to actually respond to what I said. I find it convenient that you're just scrolling on Google.
No, I'm trying to find the.
No, but what I actually when you said that it's totally fine for somebody to just kick a dog in the face needlessly.
I've eaten dog.
Okay. But what
nothing I
no,
wouldn't eat.
I didn't. I said kick in the face specifically, and you said nope, totally moral.
It's not my cultural preference to say so. Like in America, you're not supposed to talk on that. It's freedom of fucking do whatever, dude.
No, it's not. There's laws protecting dogs against animal abuse.
Huh?
So, and you don't think those laws should exist?
If your own moral prerogative is your own moral prerogative.
Okay. Would you say the same thing about mentally challenged people? So if somebody wanted to abuse mentally challenged people, you'd be totally fine.
They shouldn't, but it's not my job to
You
intervene.
wouldn't say that's immoral.
Don't, mind your business. That's sort of living.
All right, man. Look, I think you're fucking trolling, but good talk anyway. That's fucking crazy.